around the same time 2 years ago, I started the book The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. If you don't know what this book is, it is essentially a course that helps you reconnect with your creativity. I did not finish it fully. I did do I think half of it. But I did pick up something very important from this book that I still do to this day. It's a habit that has stuck with me. I love it so much. And if you didn't already guess from the title of the video, it is the artist date or a solo date. This has become the time that I look forward the most to the entire week. And I really, really want to talk more about it and the importance of it. As usual, welcome back to the money. Guys, it is so incredibly hot. It has been so humid lately. Remember last video when I said it's not as hot anymore, and I'm very glad, and I hope it stays that way. It's officially hot. It actually was worse, I think, last year, but it's still very hot. It's very humid. So if you see me sweating buckets, just know it's because it's incredibly hot right now, okay? So, what is a solo date? I think it's very self-explanatory. It's essentially taking yourself out on a date. It is setting time out of the week, every single week, for yourself. And during the date, you're not allowed to be productive or run an errand, but essentially it is time for yourself to just go out somewhere fun. My go-to is to go to my favorite cafe and read my book. I love doing that so much. Sometimes I get my journal and I journal about life and I just people watch. Sometimes I go to the beach and read by the beach. Sometimes I sit on the swing on the beach. There's a swing on the beach and I just listen to music and watch the beach and swing. And that one actually is the most therapeutic. If you have the capacity to do that, highly recommend. I just people watch and shut out everything and not think about anything. And I also always walk there, and you know how they say walking helps with creativity and with problem solving. It's 100% right. By the way, I highly recommend you walk to your artist date or your solo date. That is if you have the capacity, because I do know that a lot of cities are car centric, so I do know it's a privilege not everybody has, but if you could, you should. So in the book The Artist Way, the author talks about the importance of doing the artist date. Now, she talked about multiple things, which is the morning pages as well, which I'm not a huge fan of. I did do for an extended period of time, but I just eventually it just doesn't help anymore. But the artist date is definitely something I highly recommend. And the artist date is seen as means to kind of increase your creativity and something that will help you become more inspired. And that's why it's so important to not spend that time to run an errand, but rather just exist in the moment and do something for yourself. Going to a museum you've been meaning to go to, but just haven't had the chance to. Or going to the park or the library and just randomly picking a book and journaling about it. Just any activity that is fun and that will also stimulate your brain. According to Julia, the artist date will increase your creativity and help you reconnect to it again. And she says that it is essentially enchanting yourself. It is a form of play. She mentions how creativity needs to have an outlet. And that outlet is usually play. And in the process, you essentially create time for your brain to absorb new information and essentially connect dots that it hasn't had the chance to before. And I do think that it can be daunting, especially if you're not used to being alone. It is intimidating, okay? I understand. It is intimidating to do things on your own, but I feel that is usually the first time you do it. But then after you start doing it a while, it just feels supernatural and it becomes very important. It does also do wonders for your mental health, okay? Let me just tell you that my mental health has really become dependent on this day. It's something that I look forward to every single week. It is an outlet, and our lives, I think, are just so filled with obligations and things we have to do to basically exist. That's great, right? That's great. It's great to be busy and it's great to have things to do, but also at the same time, it's so important to take time out of your day for yourself, where there are no obligations and there are no compromises. It is just you and yourself, and you just enjoy the moment. And it's so helpful because we are wired as people, because of culture, to perceive productivity as the most important thing, and there is a deep shame that exists within us for not doing enough. So having that time that you set out for yourself, where you're kind of going out and enjoying things and you're not trying to be productive, you're not trying to do those things, but rather just spend time with yourself, feels so amazing. And it really helps you kind of unlearn that toxic productivity culture. So while reading up about it even more, I kind of stumbled onto a really good point in an article. It is essentially an opportunity to reconnect with who you are outside of the roles that you play for others: friend, partner, coworker, sibling. And I think that is what makes it so freeing, is the fact that you control every single aspect of the outing and the only audience is you. And I think it's so relaxing and comforting, and it feels like the anxieties that you typically carry around with you are kind of less and less present because you're sort of just there for yourself. I think also a lot of people say that it really helps them with self-discovery. I also made a video about self-discovery, and since making my video, I don't know, like, I've changed my mind a little bit about self-discovery, which I might make a video about. But essentially, a lot of people think that because you're alone, you kind of have the capacity to think more clearly. You can hear yourself well. Sometimes I think we're so busy and there's so much noise around us that it drowns out our thoughts. Here with the solo date and this artist date, it helps you to sit down with your feelings and with your thoughts, and there's no escape, right? And it can be very nice sometimes. I know that sounds scary, but it can be very nice because it allows you to confront them and find a way to move on. Coincidentally, I also saw a Substack article that I was actually against solo dates, and I found that very interesting. So I do want to talk about this a little bit more. The author of the article goes on to say that while doing the solo date, she constantly felt like she wasn't alone, but rather lonely, and she kept having to distract herself from that feeling. She said, "Why is being alone fine, even good, sometimes enjoyable, until a bang of loneliness hits, and being alone no longer feels as romantic as it did seconds ago. Maybe it is seeing others spending time in a group, or maybe it was doing something by myself. Fully aware, I was thinking of precisely who I'd rather have there with me in that moment." So she discusses in this article how we often, especially on social media, romanticize being alone, and it's perceived as something more purposeful than being with others. While I agree with that, sometimes I think online with the whole solo date and the solo artist date, people tend to kind of perpetuate very hyper individualistic ideals. I don't think it's a good thing to always be alone. You need to be with others, okay? And I've said that in my previous video where I talked about loneliness and isolation. It is important to still have community and to still go out and be with others. And going out with others is not less purposeful or less important than going out with yourself. However, I do think that there are benefits to doing this. There is a benefit to being alone and to learn to enjoy that time. But going back to the quote earlier and what she said, I have felt this before, to be fair. But usually not on my solo artist dates. I usually get that feeling when I'm going to an event or somewhere that I would rather be with other people. Though it was enjoyable and I had fun, I still would have preferred having someone to share it with. And so I would feel that like nagging feeling of loneliness and feelings of, oh, I wish I had a friend with me, or I wish I had somebody with me. For solo dates, at least for me, I don't get those feelings because this is sort of time that I create out of my week to be with myself and to do things that I want to do alone, right? So it's like uninterrupted alone time that I get to have with myself to simply just enjoy being alone. Now that I've talked about people who disagree with the artist date, I do agree with some of the points that it is deeply romanticized, and also I do think that it does sometimes lean into hyper individualism, which isn't a good thing. But I think the thing that I love about the artist date, and I think when I was looking into why this helps increase creativity so much, it is because it increases the chances of you experiencing awe. So according to studies, the key to feeling better mentally is to have and to feel as if life is fuller, is to experience moments of awe. I actually read about this in many different places. One of them was a book called Laziness Does Not Exist, which actually spoke about this phenomena. Great book, by the way, highly recommend. But if you don't know what it is, moments of awe are essentially described by an article in the University of Michigan as a transcendent emotional experience that fosters a sense of vastness and shift focus from the self to something larger than one's self. You can get the feeling from many places, but personally I usually get it from nature, like a beautiful sunrise while on a walk, or the sky after it rains and the cloud starts to disperse, or winter sunrises. 10 out of 10, by the way. But these moments make you feel present and makes life feel so much longer than it actually is. Like, The days where I experience moments of awe, I am more likely to remember later. They also elevate a lot of our worries. I think when we experience awe, we are reminded of the fact that our lives and our existence are so tiny and minuscule in comparison to the world and the earth and the universe, and you start to feel a lot lighter. I actually really want to make a video about this specifically, maybe in the future, but moments of awe actually also help creativity for that exact reason. Actually, according to an article titled "Why We Need Awe and 8 Ways to Find It," it is because awe energizes our thinking and helps us consider ourselves and other mysteries within larger contexts. It can enable us to identify and understand the complex systems in which phenomena occur. This leads to more rigorous ways of thinking about and interacting with those systems. One study found that college students were better able to distinguish between a valid and invalid argument after experiencing awe via remembering an expansive view. So yeah, moments of awe allows you to be a more critical thinker, but it also allows you to connect dots and see inspiration and things in different light than you would have otherwise. And I think it's, like I said, it's you see yourself and who you are within a larger context, and so everything starts feeling different. The world becomes so much larger than what you're currently experiencing. This actually reminds me of a tweet that I love so much and that I quote quite a bit whenever I feel overwhelmed. I'm like, remember, the crypto naturalist said, "Somewhere there are orcas. I'm in my little gray house in Ohio, surrounded by the stale, staticky air of winter indoors. But somewhere there are orcas. It's an easy fact to forget. It's easy to shrink your world to what you can see. But thankfully, somewhere there are orcas." Reminding myself that there is a whole world out there and that there are orcas and swans and the most beautiful scenery existing as we speak right now helps me realize that nothing is ever that serious. And I think that's what the moments of awe do. And going on the solo dates, being in nature, seeing groups of people, being able to kind of extract yourself from life and kind of be an observer in that moment, you're more likely to experience those moments of awe. It's so relaxing and calming because it grounds you in reality. That actually increases our creativity. It is so easy to just sit and scroll on our phones for hours. I mean, we do it all the time. But when you're mindful about creating times to experience life alone for a few hours and to be present in the moment and to see the world from far away, it really helps you to think about life differently. So yeah, that is all for me today. Are you guys gonna go on a solo date? I actually would love to hear what you guys think. To me, these are my favorite times of the week. I love going on my artist date. I look forward to it all the time. And when I travel and don't get a chance to do an artist date, I actually feel very depressed because I love having that alone time and that something to look forward to every single week. And it really does help. Like, if you are looking for ways to get more inspired and to work on your creativity, I genuinely highly recommend the artist date and the solo date, and to allow yourself that alone time to just exist and to experience awe and to see the world in a whole new context. So yeah, that is all for me today. I would love to hear your comments down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. And hopefully it's not as hot anymore because it is so hot right now. I'm actually like sweating buckets and I feel so sticky. I hate it, and I hate summer. I hate summer so much. If you like summer, there's something wrong with you, or you live in a cooler climate country. Anyway, I'm gonna go now, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.